what intuition is all about is enabling your intuition, which you do by bringing yourself to a place where your connection with higher consciousness is open. We're all intuitive, we're all connected to higher consciousness, but we kind of turn that connection off. And so we've got to turn that connection on, we've got to open it up so that the intuition can flow. That's the basis of the intuitive work. And having that connection open, being able to derive our visions and goals or choices from that place where we're connected to higher consciousness is very different from most personal development modalities, because you're asked to formulate your goals, but you're not given a lot of guidance about it. And so people go off and they formulate goals based on their lack and their neediness, what's missing in their lives. And so they tend to be goals around money, around homes, around cars, around the physical stuff in life. Whereas when you're connected to your higher consciousness, what comes through first is your soul path, your true vision, your life's work, if you like. That work that you're going to do, that when you're lying on your deathbed, you're thinking about your legacy and you've lived life on your terms and you've created something that's worth leaving, whether it's something big and expansive or just a body of love that you're passing on to your family or community.
Welcome to Wellness Spring, where we unravel the remarkable stories of individuals who have triumphed against all odds and have dedicated their lives to well-being. I'm your host, Beverley Holt, with 4 decades of experience in all aspects of well-being. Get ready for an eye-opening discussion with Vincent Melling, a leading voice in the world of intuition and conscious living. Join us as Vincent reveals the keys to living in flow and harnessing synchronicity in your daily life. With insights from his forthcoming book, Getting Into the Flow, Vincent offers practical guidance to align you with your soul's purpose and unlock boundless possibilities. Don't miss out on this transformative episode. Welcome, Vincent, to Wellness Spring. It's so lovely to have you on the show.
Hi, Beverley, and thanks for inviting me to come on here.
Wow, I was just reflecting earlier, and I can't believe it's 2.5 years ago when I first met you, when you were facilitating one of William Whitecloud's CYD exercises. And I was one of the students and was blessed to meet you there.
Yeah, I do remember that. And that's kind of back in this big cloud of time that was COVID, and where I can't place any specific thing on any specific date, but 2.5 years. Wow. Thank you for reminding me of that.
The time just goes in an instant. So talking about time, would you mind telling the audience where you were born, a bit about your parents, where you grew up, your education and so forth?
Yeah, sure. I was born in Brighton in England and lived there for most of my childhood. My father was English, a surveyor, and my mother was French from Algeria in North Africa. My grandparents, after independence, subsequently moved to the south of France, which was really nice to go for holidays as a kid. Yeah,
oh, wonderful.
So, yeah. You know that part of the world, don't you, Beverley?
Yes, having lived in France, in the south of France, and explored a lot. And I've got quite a few Algerian friends as well, because, that's wonderful. And so your work, you were focused on IT for a long time, and you were married with children.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I did IT for, probably 30, 35 years. Then I got a retrenchment package and just got the sense to take it, because for a year or two before that, I'd had the calling to shift my life into a different, be more aligned with my purpose, and try and get one or two of my healing ventures off the ground. So, I did that. That's when that started. Yeah, and I found William shortly afterwards.
Fabulous. And can you delve in a bit deeper, about your journey into the world of structured intuition and conscious creation, and what sparked your interest in these transformative practices?
What sparked my interest in them was a little Google ad, actually, for an evening's session with William, and it was a very powerful evening. He talked about the levels of creativity, which was fascinating, and how one shifts from a state of just imitation all the way up through being derivative to being really innovative and genius in creating. That something really rang true to me about that, and also hearing the stories of some of the other people that had come along to that evening. So that got me hooked, and I started on the path, and it was like every step of the way that I went through this work, there was a story or a connection that made me want to continue. And, part of it was going to Africa, going to Eswatini, doing the bucket list thing, seeing all the wonderful animals there and you do that at the beginning and the end of the day, and in the middle you do the training. So, you did when I was doing it, really lucky. Yeah, so I followed it through all the way to the end of the coaching level training. Yeah.
Wow, what an experience to go to Africa and be in nature with those amazing animals.
Yeah.
And I know you've done other things like yoga and Reiki, and you do a shaking practice. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and also, how do structured intuition and conscious creation differ from traditional approaches to personal development and manifestation?
Okay, well, I'll start with the healing. I'll start with the healing modalities. Yeah, around 2011, I felt the call to explore beyond my little IT world and really got interested in healing modalities. I learned psychosomatic therapy and Reiki, and that led me, and one or two other modalities as well, but it led me to shaking. And I learned shaking with Ratu Bagus in Indonesia, in Bali, but it's a very ancient tradition across a lot of cultures, is the shaking practice, and it's very powerful. I mean, animals will shake after a really stressful experience. If they've been chased by a predator or something like that, when they've escaped, they'll stop and they'll shake, and it just helps let go of the stress. And in yogic philosophy, shaking helps you let go of energetic blocks in the body, and it's a very powerful and very joyful practice. I really like doing it. I'm also a Kundalini yoga teacher, and I loved doing the training. I think it's a very powerful modality. Because I'm doing shaking as well, I don't do so much of that at the moment, but I do a small little sadhana every morning, a series of exercises that loosens up my back, my neck, because the back is, as Yogi Bhajan taught us, the source of good health is a well-functioning back, a back that's been kind of moved and stretched. In the morning, so I do that. Yeah. So that answers the first part of your question about the importance of healing, because in the intuitive modality, in structured intuition, one of the fundamental things that you choose is a choice to be healthy. So you asked me about structured intuition and how that's different from other personal development modalities. Yeah. And so what intuition is all about is about enabling your intuition, which you do by bringing yourself to a place where your connection with higher consciousness is open. We're all intuitive, we're all connected to higher consciousness, but we kind of turn that connection off. And so we've got to turn that connection on, we've got to open it up so that the intuition can flow. That's the basis of the intuitive work. And having that connection open, being able to derive our visions and goals or choices from that place where we're connected to higher consciousness is very different from most personal development modalities, because you're asked to formulate your goals, but you're not given a lot of guidance about it. And so people go off and they formulate goals based on their lack and their neediness, what's missing in their lives. And so they tend to be goals around money, around homes, around cars, around the physical stuff in life. Whereas when you're connected to your higher consciousness, what comes through first is your soul path, your true vision, your life's work, if you like. That work that you're going to do, that when you're lying on your deathbed, you're thinking about your legacy and you've lived life on your terms and you've created something that's worth leaving, whether it's something big and expansive or just a body of love that you're passing on to your family or community. Yeah.
That's
Does that
wonderful.
answer the question?
Yes, and you did cover a lot, so which is understandable. And I like the fact that you chose Kundalini yoga because it's one of my favorite yoga practices. And I like to bring my energy up from the base chakra to the back of the spine and back down again. And that's a great way to start your day and connect with energy. And because they focus on the breath a lot as well. So, both shift blocked energy and the shaking. Over the years, I've done some cathartic exercises where there'll be a bit of movement, maybe a bit of dance, then high activity, and then maybe stillness, and then they do the shaking. And the shaking's like the final bit, and inevitably people are in fits of laughter, but it really helps to let go of stuck energy. And I just love that. And like myself, Vincent, you facilitate spirit guidance circles. Can you explain what these are and how they contribute to personal growth and intuition development?
Yes, a spirit guidance session at its basis is to come into an intuitive space. So like I said before, we're all connected. It's like your phone. Your phone's always connected to the internet, but hopefully most of the time, it may be different for younger kids, but hopefully most of the time you're not giving it too much attention. And that's kind of how we are with intuition, which is a bit of a shame. You don't want to spend more time on your phone, but you do want to spend more time in a place where you're connected in, where your existing connection with your higher consciousness is open. So what we do in spirit guidance is that we come into this place, we take a little bit of time, lose the stress, quieten the nervous system, and then we come into this space and we start writing. Now, with spirit guidance, you can treat it as a purely imaginative exercise, or you can really believe that there are spirit guides out there that are helping you, and it works either way. And it's just a way of you being able to ask higher consciousness certain questions and get answers on them. So it's very powerful. And one of the reasons I love doing it in a group is that you get a group energy, and that group energy holds you there and deepens the flow of what you write. And so the very first time I'd done it, I'd never been able to do this exercise on my own for more than 20 minutes. When we did it in a group, we were writing for 40, and I was astonished and blown away. And yet other people in that group were also saying, yeah, we've done it for 40 minutes. We've done it for 40 minutes. So you get a really open flow of information from your higher consciousness through that psychic channel that's wide open. And the act of writing keeps the psychic channel open. And in fact, it opens it more and opens it more and opens it more. And it keeps going like that until kind of you've had enough. So, and you feel that, and you sense that, and you get that sense of we're done here. But you can keep going and going and going. So it's a very, very powerful tool.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And what I like about doing it in a group as well is the shares after, because it's like you get lots of aha moments or other things pike up. And often after the group, I could write again for another 10, 20, 30 minutes because it sparks that intuitive flow. And as William Whitecloud always says, when you share, when you verbalize it, concretizes it. So, Vincent, you mentioned the word flow. What does it truly mean to go with the flow, and how can individuals cultivate this state in their own lives?
Well, for me, and the way I use it, and the way I use it, I know different people use it slightly differently. it's as if the universe, it's there. It's always expanding, evolving, and creating. And our work, our sole purpose, our true vision is always to align with that expansion and evolution and creation. And that, to me, is what getting into the flow is all about. So finding alignment is finding your soul vision, which we can do by taking you through a visioning exercise. It's a fairly simple thing. But once you've got that vision, you've got some end results that come out of that vision and you're working towards them, you find that your life begins to fall into flow, and things like synchronicities and coincidences and, those times that you think of somebody and then they call you, or chance meetings or opportunities from left field, people saying, oh, you should look at this, you should do that. So all those kind of magical things start coming in when you're in that flow, and it really helps carry you on towards your end results. So it makes your end results a lot easier and quicker to achieve. Maybe quicker, maybe the flow will take you to a higher level of quality, which is what it did for me in certain places. So, my book's taken a while to make, but every time I got some kind of little magic happen, the quality of it improved, and that's what was so beautiful about that. Yeah, so
fabulous. I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned synchronicities and also your book, because your upcoming book is called Getting into the Flow and promises to unveil the magic of synchronicities and living in alignment with one's true purpose. So who or what inspired you, Vincent, to write this book?
Well, the universe kicked all this off in, as it does often in life, with something that I was a little bit upset that happened. I had gone to a shaking retreat. I was in Brisbane in early January 2020. I'd arranged to go for a bushwalk, and the friend that I had arranged to go with stood me up. And I was kind of parked at the side of the road, wondering, what do I do with the rest of my day? And I started calling friends. One of these friends put me onto a video, which put me onto the global meditation that was run for the December 2020 solstice. And when I first heard about this global meditation, I thought, oh, that sounds great, but I don't want to go to all the effort of going up there. I don't have the money, I don't have the time, and everything like that. And then I just kind of put it on the back burner and carried on with my life. And then COVID came. With COVID, there were some shifts, and some money started coming in, and the timeline opened up. And there was a lot of magic that happened around the COVID travel restrictions, so that after having spent nearly the year not being able to go very far, all of a sudden, at the beginning of December, we were able to travel, and I got my ticket and flew up there, and I was there for the global meditation. And it was a very beautiful event, and a lot of magic happened while I was up there that I've put into the book. But when I got back, we had Christmas. It was a bit of a rush, but after that, things get a little bit quiet after Christmas. And in that time, my intuition spoke to me, and it said, you've got to write the book. And I thought, oh. And the language wasn't repeatable here, but I got that whole feeling, I don't want to do this. But there was a part of me that also knew that it was true for me to write the book and to explain to people what had happened, and to explain to people, how the training in intuition had opened me up to receive everything that had happened. So, that's how the book started.
Cool. Can you give us a glimpse into what readers can expect from Getting into the Flow, and how does it guide individuals towards finding magic and flow in their lives?
Yes. So what the book will do is explain in terms of the key principles, what's going on when you create magic and flow, the importance of alignment, the importance of structure, and the importance of putting energy into that structure so that it comes alive and begins to create your end results. So when you do that, that's what brings the magic into your life, and you begin to find yourself creating at an amazing level. And people have done this work and gone off and created artworks, and they've created some beautiful crafty stuff as well. They've created jobs. All that sort of thing gets created when you're in this flow. And I kind of feel that I've missed half of the question you asked me. So if you could just guide me again.
Okay, I've got to remember myself what I asked you. Yeah. Just basically, how does it guide individuals towards finding magic and flow in their lives?
Yeah. So the first area of guidance is to get the vision. When you've got the vision, we break that down into a series of choices or end results that we're going for. So that gives you the targets that you're aiming at, where you're going. And then every day we tune into those choices to keep our whole selves on course, going in the right direction. But then we take a couple of those choices and we do another level of tune in to ask for, what's the obvious action I need to take to move myself towards that? So that gives us the guidance on a day-to-day basis. Over and above that, there's guidance from decisions. So there's a very powerful technique that we can use to make decisions from our intuition, because a lot of people, they talk about making their decision from their gut. That's only half true, because sometimes the gut feel comes from intuition, but sometimes it simply comes from their anxieties and fears and those aspects of lower consciousness, the beliefs and the definitions all coming in to make them anxious. And so you can't reliably rely on your gut as well as some people would have you believe. You've got to really reach a place of higher consciousness so that you can make the decisions, or reach a place of higher consciousness, open up that connection to higher consciousness so that you're making good decisions, and we can help you get guidance from that as well.
Wonderful. And you keep talking about consciousness and higher consciousness. Well, what is your definition? What do you mean by consciousness?
Well, I believe I define a higher consciousness. Some people may use the word higher self. Some people talk about soul and all the different kind of components of that. I just believe it's that part of us that's connected to universal consciousness. It's connected to everything through all time and space. And I prefer to use higher consciousness very simply like that. Lower consciousness, by contrast, is rooted in the beliefs that we have to create for ourselves to orient ourselves when we come onto the planet. What is this world I've come into? What's my role in it? How do I operate here? And so we come up with, and those beliefs are often based on our reactions. In particular, how we, even as adults, we always react more to the negative than we do to the positive. We've got this negative cognitive bias, and so we remember the negative. Well, in childhood, what that does is that helps form the limiting beliefs. And so you remember the times that your mother didn't give you the nurturing, and you make up stories like, I don't deserve to be nurtured, or that sort of thing. I'm not worthy. And the same goes with your father. If your mother's job as an infant is to nurture you, your father's job is to recognize where you are in the world and see you in the world. And so when he doesn't do that or belittles your efforts, then you begin to make up beliefs like, I'm not good enough. And these are really deep core beliefs. So that's what lower consciousness is. Now, imagine that you've got these beliefs when you're a kid. And they're the beliefs that run your life, and they begin to run your life over and over and over again. And what happens in the brain is that you get myelination. So that's where connections in the brain that are used a lot are coated with a substance called myelin that makes those connections protected and faster. So then your core limiting beliefs get really anchored into your brain. And so much so that they become unconscious. And that's the source of lower consciousness. It's always that thing that's giving you doubt, that's giving you fear, that's telling you you can't do this, that you're not worth it, and that kind of vibe. Does that help answer your question?
It does. And I believe that you have lots of examples within your book that people can use and develop. And then if they choose to have personal one-on-one coaching with you.
You're right, in the sense that what my book does is that it does touch on this and it does go through this. It doesn't give a lot of examples because that's a whole deeper area of the work, and that's certainly something that we will get to in one-on-one coaching. Yeah.
Fabulous. Living by intuition is the way of the future and the wave of the future, allegedly. How do you foresee this happening?
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite slow. So I think it's, if we take by analogy meditation, okay, so Yogananda brought meditation to the United States in 1920, which was kind of the first time meditation was known about much in the West. It got a big kick on when the Maharishi came along, particularly when the Beatles went there in the 60s. And by now it's mainstream. You get corporations taking their people out for mindfulness breaks. And so that's been the arc of meditation. And I think that, and it's my firm belief that living from intuition is an evolution of that and will go through the same kind of evolution, but quicker. Because whereas meditation is a withdrawal and a somewhat passive activity, intuition is a more creative and active activity that will get the word out quicker. So I see it happening a bit like that, and we're very much in the early days, but it's going to pick up and get quicker and quicker and quicker over the next decade or two.
Fabulous. That leads on to my next question about, can you share a pivotal moment or experience from your own life where structured intuition played a significant role in guiding you towards your desired outcome?
But the one that jumps to mind was that I was guided to find a writing group, and we would meet every week and we'd write, and this is in the book. And so writing is very similar to spirit guidance in that you come into a place of intuition, you let go of the lower consciousness, you quieten it down, you pacify it, make sure that psychic valve is open, then you start writing. And so that week, everybody wrote more of whatever it was they were working on, their books or whatever. But what came to me was something totally different. I actually got a new muse come in, a new guide for the book. A muse with a lot of energy, a muse that was very demanding, a muse that has, if she's believed, a lot of history with working with famous and established writers in the past, centuries over the years. But it really gave the book a whole kick along. It really shifted the tone of the book as well, because a lot of the book then became a conversation between the two of us about the principles that we were discussing. And yeah, it's quite amusing how that all worked out, quite funny. And you'll love the book because of that. It's got a lot of humour in it.
Yes, I can vouch for that, having read the first draft of your book, and it is quite funny. And, you know, as you say, magic happens. And what I love about writing, because as a psychologist and counsellor for years, I've taught writing for releasing trauma and saying to people, we start with fun exercises. And I say, if you go off on another trajectory, so be it. And, you know, it's amazing. Some people can find out hidden secrets from their family that they've been blocked and so forth. And just doing full moon meditations and writing what you want to let go of and what you want to manifest, or any type of meditation where we write after. And I just find, because scientists have proven that when you handwrite, you wire 10,000 neurons as opposed to only 500 when you do the typing. And again, that's a bit about letting the magic and flow into your life. And for the listeners, Vincent's just started a new podcast called Finding Magic. And I was actually one of his first guests. So would you like to tell people why you started that and, you know, what the listeners can take away from it?
Yeah, so I started the podcast on this particular theme because I thought, well, I've written this book and I've got all my stories of magic in, but it needs a little bit more credibility. And I'm seeing these stories of magic happening all the time with my friends and people that I work with, my students. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to collect these stories and put them out in a podcast? So that's what the podcast series is all about. Partly there are the interviews that I do that bring through stories of magic. Partly there are just little insights that I do along the way about finding magic and flow in your own life. Yeah.
Cool. And how do you navigate skepticism or doubt when it comes to the concept of intuition and conscious creation, both personally and when guiding others?
Skepticism and doubt, to my mind, are two different things because skepticism is very mental. I used to work with a guy who was high up in the Skeptics Society. And his take was that he wouldn't believe anything unless it had been scientifically proven. Okay. And so for me, there is what's scientifically proven over here and what's scientifically proven to be not true over here. And in the middle, there's a whole lot of stuff that is not scientifically proven, but there's a lot of evidence from our own lives and from our own experience that you just can't dismiss. I mean, it's the sort of thing like near-death experience. Once upon a time, it was kind of just a few outliers that would come out and talk about it. And it's, what's that? But now there are people and researchers that have hundreds and hundreds of stories, and there are support groups and all that sort of thing. And you can't deny that near-death experience is a real phenomenon. So that's skeptics. Okay, doubt is very different because skeptics are people outside the very mental and very closed off, unfortunately, very closed off to higher consciousness. They can't feel it, otherwise they wouldn't be skeptics. Doubt, on the other hand, is something that comes from within, is within you. It's part of your limiting beliefs. I'm not capable of doing this. I'm going for a goal and end result that's far too far out there. I can never make that. I'm not. Who am I to be on a stage in front of all these people telling them what's right and what's not right? And talk, just doing a talk. I mean, they always used to say that fear of public speaking is the number one fear. Yeah. And so, there are a lot of doubts that we create that are fears and doubts and worries that come out of our beliefs and definitions in ourselves.
Also, people tend, when they come from that low self worth, as you said, the lower subconscious, they are less open, and our ego always sticks to the known. So even if it's a life and death situation, they want to stick to what they truly know to be right. And so I always ask my guests, if there was one thing that they could do to change the world, what would it be?
Oh, that one's a very easy one for me because I think you asked the question earlier about where I saw intuition going. And I said, I thought I saw it really taking off over the next decade or two. And we're just at the, it's been through this kind of germination phase. It's going to begin to sprout and get big. And I see writing my book and particularly putting it out there and really putting as much effort as I can behind its promotion and publicity as I can, getting the word out is what I can do. Yeah.
Fabulous. And I wanted to ask you as well, because you didn't let us know, when did you actually move from the UK to Australia?
Okay, I'll just finish that previous answer, and then I'll come on to that. What I'm also going to be doing is writing more books. It's the first of a series. I know that because that's what my bossy muse has told me. Yeah, I moved to Australia in 1986. Yeah, been here, had a little bit of time out, some time in Belgium, some time in the States, but been based here since then.
Fabulous. The main reason I'm asking you this is because you're from a multicultural background, and we're living in a multicultural world. What is your take? Are there certain cultures that are more open for intuition and this superconscious work? Because in our groups, and I know in your groups, you have people from all over the world.
Yes. So it's been my observation that people in the Western cultures are very open to it. Western Europe, North America, some parts of Africa for sure. Also India. We often get people from India joining in and seeing this. It's, I think, going to take a little bit longer to reach into parts of the Middle East, the Islamic world. And for some reason, it's also taking a little bit longer to reach into Southeast Asia and China. I think it'll get there in the end.
Right.
So, yeah, we're about halfway there at the moment.
Yeah, because when you talked about the belief systems, there's also personal beliefs and cultural beliefs. So it's very hard to make a change when people have been doing a certain thing in a certain way for centuries. You're following in your ancestors' footsteps. So for me, I think that's something very difficult to break, and I've come across it with various clients.
Yes. And so, it's a little bit about the shift in energies from the patriarchy, the current patriarchy, to the new matriarchy or whatever's coming after, from the Piscean world to the Aquarian world. And some cultures are still very stuck in that patriarchal world, whether it's the coming from organized religion, or whether it's just the way that society is structured. India has always been open to meditation, to ideas about manifestation, to ideas about intuition. Not so sure that's the culture in China. I don't know China very well, or Japan or Korea, don't know those countries very well. But yeah, India certainly always has been very open. That's kind of where a lot of this work originally came from, or certainly strong influences of that. And yeah,
I think over time, the Indian people have been some of the most revered tribes, and believe that the real spirituality, conscious awareness was this.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been an absolutely amazing chat, and I'm sure that the listeners are going to find it very beneficial. So, dear listeners, if you're inspired to book a consultation with Vincent, do one of his group trainings and classes to develop your skills, or buy his book, please check out his website, Vincent G Melling, with a G at the end of Melling.com. And thank you again, Vincent, for inviting me on your show. And is there anything as a parting gift that you would like to share with our listeners?
So, yeah, I'd like to leave your viewers and listeners with the quote from the great Irish poet William Butler Yeats: "The world is full of magical things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper." And I personally make it a practice every day to write down what I've noticed today that's a little bit magical.
Wow, thank you. That's a good habit to get into as well, by writing down your magic. Thank you for giving up your precious time, and thank you for all you are and all you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Beverley, and thanks for having me as a guest.